The night sky above Oak Ridge was clear and full of stars. Samantha Ellis zipped up her jacket as the evening grew colder. She and her 3 friends had picked the perfect weekend for camping. No clouds, no rain, and far from the noise of the city. "This was such a good idea," said Olivia Wright as she poked at the campfire with a stick. The flames danced higher, lighting up their small circle. Dawn Miller nodded, taking a sip from her mug. "I needed this break. Work has been crazy lately." Kate Thompson was looking up at the sky through her small telescope. "Guys, come look at this. I've never seen anything like it." The other 3 women moved closer to Kate. One by one, they looked through the telescope. "That's weird," Samantha said. "That light is moving too fast to be a plane." Dawn frowned. "And too slow to be a shooting star." The strange light grew bigger and brighter. Soon, they didn't need the telescope anymore. The light was now visible to the naked eye, getting larger by the second. "Should we be worried?" Olivia asked, her voice shaking a little. Samantha, who had served in the military, felt a chill that had nothing to do with the night air. "We should pack up, now." But it was too late. The light split into 3 smaller lights that zoomed toward their campsite. The women stood frozen as the light stopped about 50 feet above them, revealing a large metal ship unlike anything they had ever seen. "That's not one of ours," Samantha whispered, reaching slowly for her backpack where she kept her emergency beacon. A bright beam shot down from the ship, bathing them in blue light. Kate tried to run but couldn't move her legs. Olivia screamed, but no sound came out. Dawn reached for Samantha's hand, her eyes wide with fear. Samantha's fingers found the small device in her pack. With skills from years of training, she pressed the emergency signal button and quickly typed a short message. The device beeped once, confirming the signal was sent. Then everything went dark. Inside the alien ship, Commander Vrextal watched as the 4 human females were brought into the holding area. His scaled skin gleamed under the ship's lights, and his yellow eyes narrowed as he studied the unconscious creatures. "These are good specimens," he said to his second-in-command. "Healthy and young. They will provide useful data." Officer Kraz nodded. "The males would have been more difficult to subdue. Your wisdom in choosing females is clear, Commander." Vrextal made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Females are the same on every world. Weaker, easier to control. These will not give us any trouble." The 4 women were placed in separate stasis pods for the journey back to the mothership. Vrextal noticed one of them, the one with short brown hair, had been holding some kind of device. "What is this?" he asked, picking up Samantha's emergency beacon. One of the technicians scanned it. "A primitive communication device, Commander. It appears to have sent a signal before we captured them." Vrextal crushed the device in his powerful hand. "It does not matter. Their technology is too primitive to track us once we leave their atmosphere." He tossed the broken pieces aside. "Prepare for departure. The mothership awaits our return." The scout ship hummed as its engines powered up. Within minutes, it shot upward, leaving Earth's atmosphere and setting course for the massive mothership, hidden behind the moon. Frank Ellis was in the middle of a meeting when his phone buzzed. He ignored it at first, but when it buzzed 3 more times in rapid succession, he excused himself and stepped outside. The message on his screen made his blood run cold. "Emergency. Abduction in progress. Alien craft. Coordinates 44.866 degree N. 3.2 W. Not human. Need immediate." The message cut off there. Frank knew that Samantha and her friends were camping in that area. His wife wasn't one to joke about things like this, and as a high-ranking officer in the United Earth Space Force, he knew better than most that humans weren't alone in the universe. He dialed a secure number. "This is Colonel Ellis. Authorization. Code Bravo Echo 79 Delta. I need a team assembled immediately. Yes, it's a code black." He paused, listening to the person on the other end. "I don't care what the general thinks. My wife just sent an emergency signal about an alien abduction, and her signal included language patterns we've never seen before. Get me a team and the fastest ship we have." Frank ended the call and stared at the night sky. Somewhere up there was Samantha, and he would find her no matter what it took. When Samantha woke up, her head was pounding. She tried to move but found herself strapped to some kind of table. The room was cold and filled with strange humming sounds. As her vision cleared, she saw that the walls were made of a dark metal that seemed to absorb light. "Olivia? Dawn? Kate?" she called out, her voice echoing. "Sam, is that you?" It was Olivia's voice coming from somewhere to her right. "I'm here too," said Dawn from another direction. "Me too." Kate's voice was shaky but determined. As Samantha's eyes adjusted to the dim light, she could make out more details. They were in a large room with several metal tables. Each of them was strapped down, wearing only the basics of their camping clothes. Various machines hummed and blinked around them, with tubes and wires connected to panels in the wall. The door, at least, what looked like a door, slid open with a hiss. Two tall figures entered. Samantha had to blink twice to make sure she wasn't seeing things. The beings stood at least 7 feet tall, with scaled skin that shifted between green and blue. Their yellow eyes had vertical pupils, like a cat's. They had no hair and their mouths were filled with sharp teeth. They wore what looked like armor made of the same dark metal as the walls. One of the aliens approached Samantha's table. It spoke, but the sounds were like nothing she had ever heard. Clicks and hisses mixed with deep rumbling tones. A small device on its wrist glowed, and then words came out in broken English. "You awake? Good. Tests begin now." Samantha met the creature's gaze without flinching. "Who are you? Why have you taken us?" The alien made that strange clicking sound again. "I am Vrexatal, Commander. You are specimen. For study." From the corner of her eye, Samantha could see Dawn testing her restraints, looking for weaknesses. Kate was watching the second alien closely, memorizing its movements. Olivia was studying the machines around them. Samantha realized they needed to buy time. She needed to keep the aliens talking while her friends gathered information. "We are not specimens," she said firmly. "We are humans from Earth. Taking us against our will is an act of war." The translation device processed her words, and Vrextal made a sound that might have been laughter. "War? Small creatures speak of war? Amusing." He leaned closer to Samantha. "Your kind has no power here. You will be studied, used for data, then disposed." As terrible as those words were, they told Samantha something important. These aliens had no respect for humans. They saw them as lab rats, nothing more. That was good. Underestimating your enemy was always a mistake. Samantha looked at her friends. With small nods and eye movements, they communicated silently, a skill they had developed over years of friendship. The message was clear. Observe everything, look for weaknesses, and be ready. As the aliens began their tests, taking samples of hair and skin, scanning their bodies with strange devices, none of the women screamed or begged. They remained calm, watching and waiting. Vrextal noticed this and seemed puzzled. Females on other worlds cry, beg. You do not. Why? Samantha smiled slightly. You have a lot to learn about human females, Commander, and I think you're going to regret this lesson. The alien didn't understand the threat in her words, but he would. Soon. 3 weeks passed on the alien mothership. The 4 women were moved from the testing room to a holding cell. The cell was small with smooth metal walls that gave off a faint blue light. There was nothing inside except for 4 raised platforms that served as beds. Samantha sat cross-legged on her platform, watching the door. She had counted the seconds between guard changes for days now. The pattern was always the same. They're very predictable, she whispered to the others as they huddled together. Every 6 hours, exactly on the dot. Dawn nodded. I noticed something about their technology too. Their doors respond to their bioelectric field. But I think I could hack into it if I had access to one of their control panels. Olivia had been studying the aliens themselves. During each examination, she paid close attention to how they moved, how they breathed, how they reacted to different stimuli. Their skin changes color slightly when they're agitated, she said, and they seem sensitive to high-pitched sounds. Kate made one of them flinch yesterday by screaming at a certain pitch. Kate smiled a little. I was just trying to make them think I was breaking down, but I saw how that one guard reacted. His inner eyelids closed and he stepped back. Samantha was proud of her friends. Each day they were gathering more information, finding weaknesses, studying their captors while pretending to be nothing more than scared test subjects. The door slid open. Commander Vrextal entered with 2 guards. The women immediately moved apart and lowered their eyes, playing the role of submissive prisoners. More tests today, Vrextal announced through his translation device. The female with yellow hair. Come. Olivia stood up slowly. This would be her 3rd session today. The tests were getting more intense. The aliens wanted to see how much pain humans could tolerate, how quickly they healed, how they reacted to different substances. As Olivia was led away, Samantha caught her eye. The silent message passed between them. Keep watching. Keep learning. When the door closed, Kate moved closer to Samantha. They're pushing us harder now. I think they're planning something big. Samantha nodded. I overheard 2 guards talking yesterday. They mentioned an invasion assessment. I think we're just the first wave. They're studying us to prepare for something larger. Dawn's face went pale. We need to warn Earth, but how? We're trapped here with no way to communicate. Not yet, Samantha said firmly. But every day we learn more about this ship and these aliens. Their arrogance makes them careless. They don't hide anything from us because they don't think we're smart enough to understand or do anything about it. She lowered her voice even more. I've been mapping the ship in my head based on where they take us for tests. There's a communication hub 2 levels down. If we could get there. Kate looked doubtful. But the guards never leave us alone. And even if we got to this communication hub, how would we know how to use it? Dawn could figure it out, Samantha said with confidence. And as for the guards, she smiled slightly. I've been working on that problem too. Hours later, Olivia was returned to the cell. She was pale and her hands were shaking, but her eyes were clear and focused. As soon as the door closed, she joined the others. I have news, she whispered. They had me in a different lab today. I saw other cells with humans in them. We're not the only ones they've taken. This was both disturbing and useful information. Samantha filed it away for later. Did you learn anything else? Olivia nodded. The lab had ventilation shafts, small but maybe big enough for one of us to fit through. And I saw a weapons locker. Their staffs are there, the ones that shoot energy beams. The 4 women stayed, up late into the night, whispering plans back and forth. By the time the lights dimmed for the sleep cycle, they had agreed on a course of action. It would be risky, but staying passive was no longer an option. On Earth, Frank Ellis had assembled his rescue team. Alan Rodriguez was a Navy SEAL with nerves of steel. Patricia Scott was the best xenolinguist in the world, able to decode alien languages faster than any computer. Victor Chen could hack into any system ever built. And Diane Washington was an astrophysicist who had spent her career studying the possibility of alien life. They stood in a high-security hangar, looking at the ship that would take them into space. The ECS Defiant was unlike any vessel ever built by human hands. It incorporated technology reverse-engineered from previous alien encounters that governments had kept secret from the public. She's beautiful, Diane whispered, running her hand along the sleek black hull. Frank nodded. And fast. Top speed is beyond anything we've ever tested. If Samantha's coordinates are right, we can reach the mothership in 12 days. Victor was already inside, familiarizing himself with the control systems. The stealth technology is incredible. They won't see us coming until we're right on top of them. Patricia had been studying the language patterns from Samantha's emergency message. I've made some progress with their language. It's complex, but there are patterns I recognize from other alien languages we've encountered. I should be able to understand enough to help us navigate once we're there. Alan was checking the weapons. These energy rifles are based on their technology, right? Will they work against them? Frank picked up one of the rifles. They'd better. It's all we've got. The team spent 3 days training together, learning the ship, preparing for every possible scenario. On the 4th day, they were ready. As the Defiant prepared for launch, Frank stood at the viewport looking out at the stars. "We're coming, Sam," he whispered. "Hold on." Back on the alien ship, the moment had come. The 4 women waited until just before the guard change. That was when the current guards were least alert, thinking about the end of their shift. Samantha gave the signal. Kate let out a piercing scream at the exact pitch they had discovered was painful to the aliens. At the same time, Olivia pressed against a specific panel on the wall that she had noticed was loose. The panel gave way, revealing circuitry beneath. Dawn immediately went to work using her knowledge of electrical systems to cross wires and create a short circuit. The lights in their cell flickered. Down the hall, they heard a loud bang as something exploded. Alarms began to blare. The door to their cell slid open as the emergency protocols activated. 2 guards rushed in, their attention focused on the sparking panel. That was their mistake. Samantha had been practicing for weeks, observing how the aliens moved, finding weak points in their physiology. She launched herself at the first guard, striking at the sensitive spot where the neck met the skull. The alien went down hard. Before the second guard could react, Kate was on him, using the same technique. Samantha grabbed the fallen guard's energy staff. The weapon hummed to life in her hands. The aliens had always believed that their weapons were keyed to their specific bioelectric field. They were wrong. "Let's move," Samantha said, her voice calm but filled with determination. "Dawn, lead the way to the communication hub. Olivia, Kate, grab the other staff and watch our backs." The 4 women stepped out of their cell for the first time. The corridor stretched out before them, red emergency lights flashing. Somewhere in the distance, they could hear the sound of running feet as more guards responded to the alarm. Dawn pointed to the right. "This way. Stay close to the wall." As they moved through the ship, alarms blaring around them, Samantha felt a fierce pride. The aliens had thought they were capturing weak, helpless females. Instead, they had captured warriors. And now, those warriors were fighting back. The alarms echoed through the massive alien ship. Red lights flashed along the corridors as the 4 women moved swiftly yet carefully. Samantha led the way, energy staff held ready. Kate guarded the rear with the second staff they had taken from the guards. "Left here," Dawn whispered, pointing down a narrower corridor. She had memorized the path to the communication hub based on the times they had been taken to different parts of the ship for testing. They pressed themselves against the wall as a group of guards ran past an intersecting hallway. Once the aliens were gone, they continued forward. "The hub should be just ahead," Dawn said, "but there will be operators inside." Samantha nodded. "We'll handle them." "Once we're in, Dawn, you need to figure out how to send a message to Earth. Olivia, Kate, you'll help me secure the room." The communication hub was behind a large door with alien symbols glowing on its surface. Dawn studied the control panel beside it. "I can bypass this," she said, pulling out wires from the wall panel they had broken earlier. She had kept them hidden in her clothes. With skilled hands, she connected them to the door panel in specific patterns. The symbols changed color, and the door slid open. Inside, 3 aliens sat at curved consoles. They turned in surprise as the women entered. Before they could react, Samantha fired the energy staff. A blue beam hit the first alien, sending it crashing to the floor. Kate fired at the second one. The third alien reached for an alarm button, but Olivia was faster. She grabbed a heavy tool from a nearby table and brought it down on the alien's arm. The creature howled in pain. Samantha moved in quickly and struck it with the butt of her staff, knocking it unconscious. "Clear," Samantha announced. "Dawn, get to work. We don't have much time." Dawn sat at the main console. Her fingers flew over the alien controls. During their captivity, she had watched the aliens use these systems many times, pretending to be too scared to pay attention while actually memorizing every detail. Their language is complicated, but the mathematics behind the communication systems is universal, she explained as she worked. "I just need to find the right frequency to reach Earth." Olivia and Kate dragged the unconscious aliens into a corner while Samantha guarded the door. From outside, they could hear more alarms and the sound of running feet. "They know we've escaped," Kate said, her voice tense. "They'll figure out where we are soon." "Just a little more time," Dawn muttered, her eyes fixed on the console. "I almost have it." On one of the screens, symbols and patterns shifted and changed as Dawn manipulated the controls. She was trying to configure the alien communication system to be compatible with Earth technology. "There," she exclaimed suddenly. "I found a frequency that should reach the emergency channels on Earth. It's the same frequency range Samantha's beacon used." She began transmitting data: the mothership's coordinates, its size and capabilities, the number of smaller ships it carried, its weapon systems, everything they had observed during their captivity. "Add this," Samantha said, pulling out a small data crystal she had stolen during one of her examinations. "It contains information about the other human captives and—" She paused, her face grim. "Details of their invasion plans." Dawn took the crystal and inserted it into a slot on the console. More data flowed through the transmission. "Message. Sent," Dawn said after a moment. "I don't know if anyone will receive it or understand it, but it's the best we can do." Suddenly, the door to the hub slid open. A squad of guards rushed in, energy staffs pointed at the women. Behind them stood Commander Vrextal, his scaled skin flushed with anger. "Enough," he roared. The translation device at his wrist converted his words to English. "You have caused much damage. This behavior will not be tolerated." Samantha and Kate raised their staffs, ready to fight. But they were outnumbered. Energy beams struck them before they could fire, sending them crashing to the floor in pain. Olivia and Dawn were similarly subdued. The guards bound their hands with energy cuffs that burned if they struggled too much. Commander Vrextal walked slowly around the captured women, studying them with new eyes. "Interesting," he said. "You have surprised me. No species has ever escaped containment on my ship before. No female of any species has ever operated our weapons." He leaned down to look directly at Samantha. "What are you?" Despite the pain, Samantha met his gaze without flinching. "We are human women," she said proudly, "and you have no idea what you've gotten yourself into." The commander made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Brave words from a recaptured specimen. Take them to the high-security holding area, double the guards, and prepare for more intensive examinations." As the guards dragged them away, Samantha caught Dawn's eye. A silent question passed between them. Had the message been received? Dawn gave a small nod. The transmission had gone through completely before they were captured. Now all they could do was hope that someone on Earth was listening. Millions of miles away, the ECS Defiant sped through space. The experimental ship's engines hummed with power as it traveled faster than any human vessel had ever gone before. Frank Ellis was reviewing star charts with Diane when Victor burst into the command center. "We've got something," he exclaimed. "A transmission on the emergency frequency. It's from the alien ship." Frank's heart raced as he followed Victor to the communications array. "Is it from Samantha? Can you decode it?" Patricia was already there, working on the transmission. "It's data, not a voice message," she said. "And yes, I believe it's from them. The frequency matches Samantha's beacon exactly." Victor connected his tablet to the main computer. "I'm running it through our decryption programs now. There's a lot here. Coordinates, technical specifications, ship schematics." "It's them," Frank whispered. Relief and pride washed over him. Somehow, his wife and her friends had managed to access the alien communication systems and send vital information. Diane was studying the coordinates. "This changes our course slightly, but we can adjust. Based on this new data, we can reach the mothership in 8 days instead of 12. Alan joined them, examining the weapons information that was coming through. "Look at this. Details about their energy weapons, shield systems, even the materials their ships are made of. This will help us plan our approach." As more data came through, Victor's expression grew serious. "Frank, you need to see this. They've got other human captives on board. Dozens of them, maybe more. And there's something else. He pulled up another section of the transmission. They're planning an invasion of Earth. These are deployment strategies, landing coordinates, targets. Frank's jaw tightened. What had started as a rescue mission had just become much more important. They weren't just going to save Samantha and her friends anymore. They might be the only ones who could stop an alien invasion before it began. Update. Our mission parameters, he ordered. We're still going in to extract our people, but now we have additional objectives. We need to free all human captives and gather any intelligence we can about these invasion plans. The team nodded in agreement. None of them had signed up for this, but they were all prepared to do whatever was necessary. Send all of this back to Earth, Frank continued. Make sure it gets to the right people. The world needs to start preparing, just in case we fail. As the others went to work, Frank stood alone at the viewport looking out at the stars. We're coming, Sam, he whispered. And we're going to end this. In their new cell, more secure than the first, the four women sat close together, whispering. Did you see the look on his face? Kate asked, a small smile on her lips despite the pain from the energy burns. He didn't expect us to be able to use their weapons, Olivia nodded. Or access their systems. We've shaken his confidence, that's good. Samantha was checking Dawn's injuries. The guards had been rougher with her once they realized she was the one who had sent the transmission. Are you okay? Dawn winced as Samantha touched a particularly bad burn on her arm. I'll live, and it was worth it. The message went through completely, I'm sure of it. Samantha looked around their new cell. It was smaller than the previous one, with no visible panels or weak spots. The door looked thicker, and she could hear guards right outside. They'll be watching us more carefully now, she said quietly, but that doesn't mean we give up. We've proven we can fight back. We just need to be smarter about our next move. Olivia had been studying the ceiling of their cell. There's a ventilation system here too, she whispered. Smaller, but still there. And I noticed something else during our examination earlier. The aliens have a major weakness we might be able to exploit. The four women huddled closer as Olivia explained what she had discovered. Despite their recapture, despite the increased security, they were far from defeated. They were already planning their next move. Commander Vrextal had made a critical mistake. He had captured humans. But more importantly, he had captured human women who refused to give up. And now they had nothing left to lose. Commander Vrextal paced in his private quarters, his clawed feet clicking against the metal floor. The four human females had caused more trouble than any specimens in his long career. They had escaped, used Zarkadian weapons, accessed the communication systems, and transmitted data to their home planet. It was unprecedented. It was infuriating. It was fascinating. He stopped pacing and pressed a button on his desk. A holographic image appeared, recordings of the humans during their captivity. He watched as they underwent tests that would have broken most species. He observed their silent communications, the way they watched and learned. Computer, he said, play the most recent security footage from high-security holding cell 3. The image changed to show the four women in their new cell. They appeared to be resting, defeated, but Vrextal wasn't fooled. He could see them, whispering to each other when they thought no one was watching. He pressed another button. Bring the leader to interrogation chamber 1. I will question her myself. Samantha was dragged from the cell by 2 guards. Her friends watched helplessly as the door slid shut behind her. They're taking her to Vrextal, Dawn whispered. We need to move quickly. Olivia nodded and pulled a small pouch from where she had hidden it in the thin mattress of her bed. During their medical examinations, she had managed to steal small amounts of various chemicals and substances. I've been working on this since our last escape attempt, she explained. It's a compound that affects their nervous system. Their scaled skin is tough, but their breathing apparatus is vulnerable. Kate looked impressed. How do we distribute it? Olivia pointed to the small ventilation grate near the ceiling. Through there, the air circulation system connects to all parts of the ship. If we can get this into the main vent, it will spread to the areas around us first. Dawn studied the grate. It's too high to reach, and too small for any of us to fit through. We don't need to fit through it, Olivia said. We just need to get this compound into it. She held up the small pouch. If we can create a pressure difference, the ventilation system will pull it in. The three women set to work, using the limited resources they had. Kate removed the thin fabric cord from her pants to create a makeshift sling. Dawn used a broken piece of her bed frame as a lever. Together, they prepared to launch Olivia's chemical weapon into the ship's air system. In Interrogation Chamber 1, Samantha sat across from Commander Vrexital. Unlike previous examinations, this room had a EO or table and chairs almost like a human interrogation room. It was a subtle acknowledgement that the commander no longer saw her as merely a specimen. You continue to surprise me, Vrexital said, his yellow eyes studying her carefully. No species has ever caused this much disruption on my ship. Samantha remained silent, watching him just as carefully. Every moment she spent with the commander was an opportunity to learn more about him, about his species, about the ship. The message you sent, Vrexital continued. It contained information about our invasion plans. You know we intend to conquer your world. Samantha raised an eyebrow. I suspected as much. You've been studying us, testing our weaknesses, preparing for a larger attack. Vrexital made that sound that passed for laughter among his kind. And yet you do not seem afraid. Most species cower at the thought of Zarkadian invasion. We have conquered 12 worlds in this sector alone. Earth won't be so easy, Samantha said, her voice calm and confident. Because of your message? Vrexital asked, leaning forward. Do you really believe your primitive species can mount an effective defense against our technology? Samantha smiled slightly. You still don't get it, do you? You think we're primitive because our technology isn't as advanced as yours. But technology isn't everything. The commander snorted. Without advanced technology, you are nothing. That's where you're wrong, Samantha countered. Humans have something your species clearly lacks: adaptability. We learn, we change, we overcome. You've had us captive for weeks, and in that time, we've learned to use your weapons, access your systems, and counter your security measures. She leaned forward, matching his posture. Imagine what billions of humans could do if your invasion force landed on Earth. For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty crossed Vrexital's face. It was subtle, just a slight change in the color of his scales. But Samantha caught it. She pressed her advantage. You captured 4 human women thinking we would be easy to control. How's that working out for you, Commander? Before Vrexital could respond, an alarm began to sound, different from the previous alarms. He touched a device on his wrist, and a holographic display appeared. What is happening? He demanded. A voice responded in the Zarkadian language. Vrexital's scales darkened with anger. He stood up abruptly. It seems your friends have caused more trouble, he hissed. Guards, take her back to the cell. As the guards entered, Samantha noticed something strange. They were moving more slowly than usual, and one of them seemed unsteady on his feet. She hid a smile. Olivia's plan was working. On the ECS Defiant, the rescue team was making final preparations. They were now just hours away from the alien mothership. Thanks to the data Samantha and her friends had sent, they had detailed schematics of the ship and knew exactly where the human captives were being held. The plan is simple, Frank said, addressing his team. We use the stealth technology to approach undetected. Victor will hack into their systems and create a diversion. Alan and I will board the ship here. He pointed to a maintenance hatch on the schematic. Patricia and Diane will remain on the Defiant, ready for extraction. Alan studied the path they would take once inside. According to the schematics, the high-security holding area is here, 3 levels down from our entry point. The other human captives are spread throughout these sections. Victor was programming a series of targeted cyber attacks. I can disrupt their internal communications and security systems, but only for about 20 minutes. After that, they'll adapt and lock me out. 20 minutes should be enough, Frank said. Once we have Samantha and the others, they can help us free the rest of the captives. Then we get everyone back to the Defiant and get the hell out of there. Diane looked up from her console. I'm detecting increased activity around the mothership. Something's happening over there. Frank moved to her side. On the screen, they could see smaller ships moving around the massive mothership. Some appeared to be docking while others were departing. Could they be launching their invasion already? Patricia asked, worry in her voice. Frank shook his head. No. This looks more like internal chaos. Something's disrupting their normal operations. A slow smile spread across his face. It's them. Samantha and the others are still fighting back. He turned to his team. This works in our favor. They're distracted. Let's move up our timetable. Victor, prepare your cyber attack. Alan, get the boarding equipment ready. We're going in now. When Samantha was returned to the cell, she found her friends looking both pleased and anxious. What did you do? She asked immediately. Olivia explained about the chemical compound she had created and how they had released it into the ventilation system. It affects their coordination and decision-making. Not lethal, but disorienting. The effects should last about 2 hours. The guards outside our door are already showing symptoms, Kate added. They're slower, less alert. Dawn had been working on the door mechanism. I think I can short-circuit it using the metal frame from our beds. The energy field isn't as strong when the guards are disoriented. Samantha nodded approvingly. Good work, all of you, and I have news too. I got Vrextel talking about the invasion. He confirmed everything we suspected. They've conquered other worlds before, and Earth is next on their list. Did you see anything else while they had you out of the cell? Kate asked. Yes. The ship is in some kind of uproar. More guards than usual. Lots of movement. I think our message to Earth worried them more than Vrextal wants to admit. The 4 women gathered around. As Dawn continued working on the door, they spoke in whispers, planning their next move. Once we're out, we need to find the other human captives, Samantha said. We can't leave them behind. And we need to do more damage to their invasion plans, Kate added. Maybe find their weapons storage or engine room. First things first, Dawn cautioned. Let's get out of this cell, then we can decide where to go. With a final adjustment to the wires she had pulled from the bed frame, Dawn touched them to a specific point on the door's internal mechanism. Sparks flew, and the door slid open halfway before stopping. The gap was wide enough for them to squeeze through. Outside, they found the 2 guards slumped against the wall, conscious but clearly affected by Olivia's compound. Samantha quickly relieved them of their energy staffs. Let's move. We don't have much time before they figure out what's happening and adapt. The 4 women moved swiftly down the corridor, encountering little resistance. Most of the aliens they saw were struggling with the effects of the compound, moving slowly or leaning against walls for support. Where to first? Kate asked as they reached a junction. Samantha considered their options. The holding areas for the other humans, down 2 levels and to the east section of the ship. The ECS Defiant silently attached itself to the hull of the massive alien mothership. Its stealth technology kept it invisible to the Zarkadian sensors. Inside the small Earth vessel, Frank and Alan prepared for boarding. They wore sleek black armor and carried energy rifles based on reverse-engineered alien technology. Victor, how's the hack coming? Frank asked over the comm. Victor's voice came through clearly. Almost in. Their systems are advanced, but they never expected someone to attack them this way. 3, 2, 1. We're in. Initiating disruption now. Throughout the mothership, lights flickered, doors opened and closed randomly. Security systems shut down. The chaos that Samantha and her friends had started with their chemical attack was now compounded by Victor's cyber assault. Good work, Frank said. Maintain the connection as long as you can. Let's move, Alan. The 2 men entered the airlock that now connected the Defiant to the mothership. With a hiss of equalizing pressure, the outer door opened, revealing a dark maintenance tunnel. According to the schematics, we need to go 3 levels down to reach the high-security area, Alan said, checking the small holographic map projected from his wrist device. Frank nodded. Let's hope Sam and the others are still there. They weren't. Samantha, Dawn, Olivia, and Kate had already escaped their cell and were now moving through the ship with purpose. They had reached the first holding area where other human captives were kept. The door to the large chamber was partially open thanks to Victor's hack. Inside, they found 20 humans, men and women of various ages, all looking pale and frightened. Some had clearly been captives longer than others. When they saw Samantha and her friends armed with alien weapons and moving freely, their expressions changed from fear to hope. "We're here to get you out," Samantha announced. "Can everyone walk?" A tall man with a gray beard stepped forward. "Yes, we're all mobile. Who are you? How did you escape?" "No time to explain," Kate said. "We need to move quickly. There are more humans in other holding areas." Dawn had accessed a terminal near the door. "According to this, there are 2 more. Groups of humans, 1 level down and 1 level up. We need to split up," Samantha decided. "Dawn, take Olivia and half of these people to the upper level. Kate and I will go down with the rest. Once you've freed the others, head for the shuttle bay on level 5. We'll meet you there." The plan was set in motion. Dawn and Olivia led their group toward the upper levels while Samantha and Kate headed down. The freed captives followed, some still in disbelief that rescue was actually happening. As they moved through the corridors, they encountered aliens affected by Olivia's compound. Some were barely able to stand, while others tried to fight but were easily overcome due to their impaired coordination. Commander Vrextal was furious. His ship was in chaos. The human females had somehow released a substance into the air that was affecting his crew. Now the ship's systems were malfunctioning as well. It had to be an attack from outside, perhaps a response to the transmission the humans had sent. He made his way to the command center, fighting against the effects of the compound. His specialized mask provided some protection, but he could still feel the sluggishness in his movements, the slight fog in his thinking. "Status report," he demanded as he entered the command center. One of his officers turned to him, movements slow and unsteady. "Commander, we have multiple breaches. The human specimens have escaped and are freeing the others. And our sensors detected something on the outer hull before the systems went down." Vrextal slammed his fist on a console. "Lock down all shuttle bays. Deploy the unaffected troops to recapture the specimens. And prepare my personal shuttle." He wasn't taking any chances. If the humans managed to cause this much damage, if they had indeed called for help from their planet, then the invasion plans needed to be reevaluated. He would escape with the critical data and return to the Zarkadian homeworld to report this unexpected development. Frank and Alan moved swiftly through the maintenance tunnels, encountering little resistance. The few aliens they came across seemed disoriented, easy to avoid or subdue. "Whatever's happening on this ship, it's working in our favor," Alan commented as they descended to the 3rd level. They reached the high-security holding area only to find it empty, the door partially open. "They've escaped on their own," Frank said, a mixture of pride and concern in his voice. "We need to find them before they run into serious trouble." His comm unit crackled to life. "Frank, it's Victor. I'm picking up unusual movement patterns throughout the ship. Large,